Listen, in just 8 months, 455,000 women have vanished from the American workforce, left, got laid off, got fired. And you know what? This is the second largest exodus in record history, only surpassed by the pandemic. Let's just keep it in 100. But here are the headlines. But here's what the headlines are telling you. Over 300,000 of those women are African American women. And this is not by accident. I haven't seen the headlines, but I really have not done a deep dive into it until recently, just started paying more attention. And let me just say this today, we're going to break down this crisis that's reshaping America's economy. Because here's the thing, women buy a lot of products in the household. And when they don't work, what do you think is going to happen to the economy? It's destroying the African American middle class. It's affecting families across the country. And if you're not paying attention to this, you really need to be, because this is a crisis. The fact that people are looking and needing work. Hi, everyone. I'm Uche Maple, and welcome to the Women Who Lead Network. Here's where we talk about everything with women in leadership, entrepreneurship, and really how to live a more purpose-driven life. Now, I'm going to keep it 100. I'm going to get y'all some stats because, hey, I'm an engineer by trade, so I'm going to give you some stats just to back up the information that I am going to be talking about today, because I think it's important for you to be able to understand and grasp what is being articulated. With so much information coming at you, you got to be able to understand and cipher out through the noise so that you can really get a handle on what's happening right in front of you. All right, so between January and August, 455,000 women have left the workforce. Now, this is the highest rate since the pandemic, and this is according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS. According to the official BLS, in August, their stats report says that women labor force participation has dropped from 57.7% in August 2024 to just 56.9% in August 2025. So what that means is that we have like a 1% delta of women actually being in the workforce. When they say participating, they mean actively going into work. But the impact on our African American women, on us, is even worse. Yep, I said it. Because here's the thing, approximately over 300,000 African American women have left the workforce. And I'm going to assume not by choice. In just the first few months of 2025, especially with the new administration coming in and the government was just releasing people. And I know this because I worked with a lot of people who got let go. And the BLS, according to the BLS in August of 2025 report, it confirms that the African American unemployment rate hit at an all-time high, 6.7% more than double than their white counterparts. And for African American men, it's 7% for them. And for their white counterparts, it's 3.7%. The disparity is there. It's undeniable. And that's the level we haven't seen since 2021 during the COVID recovery, right? It makes sense. Now, you're probably like, well, Uche, why does this matter? Why should we care? Well, listen, this isn't just information. So you're probably saying, well, Uche, why should we care? Why does this matter? Well, these aren't just statistics from news article. This is straight from our own government's BLS. Now, we're talking about the mothers. We're talking about breadwinners. We're talking about the backbone of entire communities being pushed out of economic stability. And we thought this was, insane before. It's worse now. For decades, federal employment has been one of the most reliable paths to the middle class family, especially for African Americans, and specifically for Black women, African American women. I know I used to work, people that are like, hey, I'm going to work for the government. The work there is great. There is stability. We love what we do. And it's something that they can depend on. And right now, African American people make up 18.5% of the federal workforce, compared to just 12% of the overall civilian workforce. Think about that. Because I'm in the civilian workforce. And African American women specifically represented 22% of government employees, higher than any other demographic. And in agencies like, education, HUD, Treasury, we make up a lot of that staff. Now, why does it matter that, for us to be in there? A lot of us at the time, this is where you graduate from college and you went to go work for the federal government. You knew that there was job security and the benefits was great. And so you had an opportunity to bring in a consistent income for your family, and the pay was pretty good too. And because of the mass layoffs, it is staggering. Right now, BLS has said that the government, federal government employment dropped by almost 100,000 jobs from January. In August of this year alone, another 15,000 federal workers lost their jobs. Over 300,000 federal layoffs have been announced by this new administration. That's insane. This is insane alone. What I think people don't understand is that when you're cutting the federal workforce, you're not just cutting jobs, you're really dismantling one of the few ladders that middle class was able to build a stable family around, specifically African-American women. And let me say this, in addition to the layoffs, this has not changed. It's just that it just got more visible. The childcare crisis is insane. It is expensive. I know that, and I know that specifically for myself, when my kids were in daycare, it was ridiculous. One check went for daycare. I mean, when I was working, my whole check went to daycare. And we definitely know that it says that, that the federal childcare funding ended in September 24, and childcare centers, some have closed, and others have raised their tuition dramatically just because of how much everything costs right now. And it's saying that the average cost is $1,400 a month for just 3 days a week. Yeah. You know how much it cost me when my son was little? It was $345 a week. Can you imagine that? From the time I went back to work to the time he was probably 4 years old. Now, the older he got, the less expensive it got, but nothing went under $200 a week. And for a lot of us, that's more than our mortgage. The math simply is not mathing. And in addition to that, another reason why this is difficult for a lot of women to go back to work is because of the return to office mandates. When they were able to at least, to some extent, work remotely or even do hybrid, they at least didn't have to put their kids in daycare all the time. But now that companies are now demanding full-time office, going back to the office, this is impacting a lot of families. And, without it, juggling work and childcare is impossible. So here's the bottom line. Over 300,000 African-American women did not just decide to leave the workforce. They were pushed out by pressures, economic pressures, by systematic barriers. They were pushed out. And federal layoffs are hitting the African-American community hardest because historically, we went to government jobs. But in addition to the childcare costs, disappearing flexibility with work-life family balance that everyone claims that they have, and everyone is saying that the AI is taking an impact, we got sort of a crisis here. And this is not just about the numbers. It's about families losing their economic footing. One of the things everyone keeps saying is that, put your bootstraps on and get out there and work. And you're trying to find jobs and you're like, y'all not even hiring me. And I got education, I got degrees, and I'm in a STEM field and no one is hiring me. What's going on? And in a way, this is what we're seeing is it's a disproportionate amount between the middle class. Used to have like upper middle and lower middle, and then poverty. The middle class, and I felt this. I was like, all my money is going away and I don't see where it is. And it's becoming disproportionate. You're not going to have a middle class anytime. So the answer is clear. One thing that I recommend all my clients when I was working with them, when they were going through this, because if you can imagine, you've been at a place for almost 20 something years. Sorry, I got to take some. And now your livelihood is at risk. And you just can't believe it. And you're trying to figure out, what do I do now? Some people are like, I don't want to leave my home. I've been here all my life. Some people are still trying to process what is happening to them. And others are just like, I'm just going to work hard and apply every day and try to find something online. The reality is that here's the reality. You have to update your resume to today's time and make it relevant to what they're looking for today. You got to update your LinkedIn profile. You got to start bringing in connections with people that you were not even trying to connect with before, but now you need to start connecting with them. Yes, it's okay to apply online, but you also need to start going to these networking events that make sense for you. Because oftentimes we're like, oh, they're having a job fair. When you get there, they're like, yo, go online, go apply online. You're like, what is happening here? I'm hoping that I can get an interview. I didn't even have to come. And the biggest thing, you might have to relocate. So what I'm encouraging you to do is don't panic. Do something in the meantime that you can earn income in, right? We know the story about the woman with the oil and when she was with the prophet. And he told her, he was like, go borrow jars from your neighbors and put your oil in there and start selling it. You have to, there's a reason you have gifts. You haven't just been working and not learning anything. Utilize what you have to bring in income in the short term. And I don't know for you, that might be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. But whatever it is, use the gifts that you have so that you can bring in some income so that you're not going homeless. You're not losing things that you have gotten. And sometimes, keeping it 100, if you got to sell things in your house just to pay your bills, we got to do what we got to do. Right? But don't be discouraged. Stay encouraged. All right, everyone. So if you learned something today, hit that like and subscribe button for more deep dives into stories about what is happening in the workforce, what is happening with jobs, what is happening with different terms of leadership, what is happening when we are pursuing our own purpose, when our own life, what is happening now? And let me know your comment, whether or not you know someone who's been affected by this. Talk to you later. Bye.